Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Mass Effect Andromeda and chiefly why I'm pretty worried about this game. Now, first of all, the game looks great. The combat is very fluid, like it just looks so streamlined. And I wrote an article saying how amazing it looked. But I'm worried about the RPG elements. I'm worried about the immersion. Now, if it's anything that 2016 has taught me as being a gamer, is to be skeptical. It's healthy to have skepticism, especially of the things that developers show us, things that publishers promise us. So, when BioWare, after the longest time of teasing and showing snippets, when they show like bona fide gameplay footage, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And what they showed just wowed everyone. It's, whoa, this is awesome. But, there were some problems, like the facial animations were just terrible. Well, not terrible, but just not anywhere near they should be. But anyway, what about the RPG elements? What about those? Now, BioWare has been following a trend to casualize key aspects of its core franchise, especially the RPG franchises. We've seen this. Look at Dragon Age Origins, like the golden days of BioWare. Okay, there's a facial animations. It's like, what the hell am I watching? What is that? Like, if you're not an alien, you're a human. It just doesn't look good. And that's something you kind of face when you're dealing with really high res images, and it looks great. But what's the point of it looking amazing if the immersion breaks down? And that is the key. The underlining point of my worries here. What's the point if it looks amazing if it just doesn't feel amazing? It doesn't feel real, So, back to what I was saying about BioWare's trends of eroding core concepts of beloved franchises. So, Dragon Age Origins, I understand that Dragon Age Origins was not necessarily accessible. It wasn't an insanely, I don't even know how popular it was back in the day, but I do know that not everyone would pick that game up and play it and love it. It's something that takes time to learn, takes time to play, and that's something that publishers, they don't want that anymore. What they want is safe bets. They want games that anybody can pick up and play and be just, whoa, this is awesome, I want to play this forever. So that's what we get these days. We've taught the publishers, based off of sales data, based off of what the shareholders, what's on those graphs, and kinds of bullet points they want in the content these days. We've taught them that safe bets are sure bets, are surefire sales. And they don't want to take chances anymore. So as a result, look at what happened with Dragon Age Inquisition. That game was great. I love that game. Okay, I cannot say that I don't love it, but it does have big problems. It does. Compared to Dragon Age Origins, Inquisition is like a whole nother world in a very bad way too. Now, Dragon Age Origins was more tactical, more strategic. It had deeper lore, it had deeper RPG elements, and it was very linear. It felt immersive. Dragon Age Inquisition, yeah, it looks great. It does have tactical strategy, and it does have awesome spells and combos and everything. But it falls just flat, just falls on its face when it comes to environment immersion, to the point where you get to a point where you don't even really want to play it anymore, because it gives you so much freedom. You're free to do whatever you want, and it eventually you fall into this trap that Ubisoft is so guilty of. Ubisoft doesn't, I don't think they understand how to get out of this trap of their open world games. Now, EA with Dragon Age Inquisition, BioWare and EA were trying to infuse these open world elements to the game, and it did not feel right, and it made a huge disconnect with the immersion. You could do whatever you want, go anywhere you want. It starts to feel like all you're doing is, achieving things just to check it off on a list. And the whole thing starts to break down. You start to question, what am I doing with my time? After you do the main quest, and the main quest is fine, that's fine, but the side quest, the fetch quest, the collecting of items to build your armors, that's just insane. Like it took way too much time, and it got to the point where I was just not even interested in playing it anymore. So what's gonna happen with with Mass Effect Andromeda? Well, they've already said that it is basically open universe. Like, you'll be able to land on planets just like the old Mass Effects, and that's awesome. I like that a lot. But I hope there's not too much freedom to where it starts to break down. And I'm not talking about like interspace travel freedom, like the terrestrial freedom. I'm hoping that certain planets aren't so big that there's so much stuff to do and it starts to break down. I hope that what they do is they condense it properly, they pace it properly, so it doesn't fall. You don't fall into that trap. You don't fall into that Assassin's Creed trap, where you just open up your map and there's just so many, little tiny icons, like thousands of things to do, and you just, it gets overwhelming. So I'm hoping that it feels natural. I'm hoping that the exploration feels natural. And I haven't played it. I don't think anyone's played it yet, and I can't say exactly what it's going to be like. But based on what I've seen, and okay, here's another big part why I'm worried about the game. It does not have classes. Now, it used to be in a Mass Effect game, you had to pick a class. You had to pick a class set in stone, and yeah, you got to pick what skills you upgraded, but you picked that class and you were that class. That's who you are. You're a sentinel, you're a vanguard, you're a soldier. That built your identity in this game. In this game, you're a pathfinder. That's all you are. You're a jack of all trades. You can be any one of those, and that's awesome. But it's also a huge risky gamble, because that's gonna disconnect players from their identities in this game. Now, another thing that we all knew that there would be no classes in the game. Like, I knew it, there was reports of it months and months ago, so that's not a big shock. But I thought about this then, and when I saw the preview footage at NVIDIA's CES 2017 keynote, that's whenever I got really worried. I saw that the way the classes work, the way that the skills work, we have loadouts and the passive skill trees. Now, you'll still have to pick your skill trees, you'll still have to make decisions, but it's not built to a class, it's not built to just necessarily an identity. It's built basically around the things that you can do in battle. And I know that the other classes were like that in old games, but you felt like you were that class. I just feel like this game will be too casualized. I feel that the soul of Mass Effect will be changed and altered to the point where it feels derived. And it is I wouldn't say a knockoff of Mass Effect. It goes into a different trajectory. It's one-off, self-contained game. So this is it's not really a spin-off necessarily, but it kind of is too. And it's a natural progression. But I think that certain elements will be insanely casualized to the point where EA is like, okay, we want anyone that picks this game up to like it, to be able to play it, to want to continue playing it. So it won't be the type of game that appeals to the core the age-old BioWare fans that grew up playing Dragon Age Origins. They grew up with KOTOR. I mean, really. Look, okay, here's another big example. EA, in their recent, not super recent, but in their recent investor relations calls, they put out these presentations, all these like PDF files and PowerPoints, and that's something that I report on. I report on those because it's important. They'll say, here's what we're doing, here's when it's coming out, and they'll give you timelines. In these investor relation calls, in these presentations, I noticed that EA is going all in on the action genre. They're going all in on action. We've seen this manifest in Dragon Age Inquisition. We've seen this manifest in all of the new Star Wars games that are coming out. Okay, prime opportunities to have an in-depth RPG that takes the amazing soul of KOTOR. You know, that tactical like dice-based system, and transition it into a next-gen RPG and just do all this amazing stuff and push a new forefront of that. And no, it's going to be action-based, primarily action-based. Look at Final Fantasy. Look at how Final Fantasy has changed. Now, I personally love Final Fantasy 15, but I am very aware of the evolution of the changes they've made. They've gone from something that we all knew and loved, the turn-based system, and they have always innovated on that turn-based system. And Final Fantasy 13's turn-based system is pretty bad. It's just automated. So there's a progression, a push towards action-based content. RPGs are blurring now. They're blurring into action-based. Like, you have to get a Diablo-based ARPG or a CRPG to really have that core RPG elements these days, in a AAA game at least. So we're seeing this transition, this push towards action-based. EA is going to be doing this. EA is even going to make their own huge open-world Assassin's Creed-based game. Like, it's going to be huge, and it's going to be action-based. And they're going to fall into the same trap Ubisoft fell into. And it's just going to be this horrible self-repeating cycle where all these games are just going to have safe bets. The only gambles that we're going to have in gaming are indie games. And it just bugs me, and it bothers me, and I think that BioWare and EA, they know what they're doing, but they know that the reality is they're doing it because this stuff sells. They have to make it accessible to everyone in order to get everyone's attention, to make everyone involved in the process. So they're going to make it casualized. They're going to feed into a wide web work. Instead of concentrating into this like awesome fine-tuned laser, it's going to be like this wide like spotlight. And everyone is going to jump in. They're gonna realize, oh, this is really awesome looking, really graphics are amazing. It's gonna wow the average person, but I don't know if it'll wow the RPG fan. I don't know if it'll wow the core BioWare fan. BioWare has really, really redefined their games, in both good and bad ways. And this is just the reality of the industry, and it's sad because we, gamers, have taught shareholders, they've taught analysts, all the people that are collecting this data, like the sales charts, all that data gets collected, put in pie charts, and they make bullet lists, say, hey, here's what we got to do to sell this game. It's not enough that we have the Mass Effect name on it. We gotta incorporate elements to make anyone step into the shoes of a Pathfinder. And that's why I think they're doing the jack of all trades system. They want everyone to be able to pick, to transition at any point, and it's different. And I think Mass Effect Andromeda is going to suffer for it. I think that BioWare games as a whole are going to suffer for this. They already have. I think EA games are going to suffer for it, and if I'm worried about Mass Effect Andromeda, one of their biggest properties, one of their biggest money-making earners, well, I don't know if it's one of their biggest money-making earners. I would imagine Battlefield is their cash crop, and FIFA. Of course, no, FIFA just smashes everything else. It's insane how much money they make from FIFA. But anyway, I just feel that they're not going to take risks. It's going to be a surefire bet. And we're going to get something that looks great, that plays great, but it's not going to have the same soul. It's not going to feel the same. And I don't know how I feel about that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just dead wrong. I hope the RPG elements are amazing. I hope they're immersive. I hope this game just pulls you in and you know, adds all these new characters, new things, but I don't think that it will, and we're gonna get something that just feels derivative. It feels off. So, I have a feeling that a lot of people have noticed it. Maybe they don't really understand how to like say it in words, or they know like, oh, this is Mass Effect, but it's also not. I mean, look at the games that have changed over the years. Look at Halo. Oh my god, Halo is just a joke now. It's a joke. It's terrible. It's just one of the worst games I've ever played. Halo 5 is just garbage. And look at Destiny. Destiny was supposed to be completely different, and Activision made Bungie reset the game because they were like, this isn't a safe bet, we gotta change it. And Bungie had to prove themselves to Activision, and I don't know who's responsible, who made the decision to put microtransactions in the game. I think it was Bungie, because they needed money to fund the live team, and because they're already working on Destiny 2. But that's insane. Like, the things that have happened with Destiny is insane, and I think it's a huge indicator of how the landscape of the gaming world has changed. And this bleeds over into EA. It bleeds over to everything. It bleeds over to Mass Effect Andromeda in some ways. Not, it's not obviously not the same type of game necessarily, but this core tenet, this push to only push safe bets on developers, and it's just a shame. And it's the landscape we found ourselves in. And the reality is, I think it would take tens of millions of fans. We'd have to sign petitions. We'd have to vote with our wallets. And that's just something that doesn't really take hold in the mainstream world. Like, enthusiast gamers, core gamers, yeah, they'll sign petitions. They will like, stand up to the publishers if they're tired of it. But the reality is, people have to vote with their wallets to get the attention. We have to prove to them that this was a failed experiment. And if anything, things like Halo 5's horrible microtransactions, Destiny's weird fractured setup, all of those things are seen as a huge success by the publishers. And we're going to continue seeing these things. I mean, Assassin's Creed, the weird, huge open world staleness is seen as a huge success. So we're going to see all this stuff just evolve, push forward. So whatever you guys think of Mass Effect Andromeda, let us know. We like to hear from you guys. This will be an article. I'll try to make more videos like this and let you guys know how I feel about certain things, if you want to see it, if you want to hear about it, of course. But I just have this strong feeling, and it might be just because I might be paranoid. I just might be paranoid. I might be like, oh, I'm not giving BioWare enough credit. They're talented. They're an amazing dev team, but it's something that I just feel, based on the things we've seen, it's not just like, oh, I'm just coming out with this out of nowhere. No, EA has legitimately said our games are going to be action-based. Hell, BioWare's new secret IP that they're making might be action-based. I've written about this. You can find all of this stuff, evidence of all of this, and my articles on TweakTown. So, I don't necessarily think it's necessarily paranoid, but I hope I'm wrong. That's why I'm worried about Mass Effect Andromeda and the future of gaming as a whole, honestly. I feel that it's going to transition this way. So, good or bad, may end up being a blessing in disguise, who knows. But I think Dragon Age Origins, original Mass Effect, and KOTOR are going to stay in the past. Those are going to stay in the past. We won't see games like that from BioWare anymore. And regardless of who's to blame, it's just, whether it's the industry or the publisher or the developer to blame. We don't know. Well, it's a combination of all of those, but it's just hard to say like if it's one definite thing. So anyway, this video has gone on way too long. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time, guys.